Taiwan, a landmass located off the coast of mainland China, is a contiguous territory that accommodates 23.5 million individuals and some of the most crucial industrial hubs globally. Rest assured, the focus for today's video is on a trend that, although not as sensational, has the potential to inflict similar devastation on a vast majority of the world. Taiwan is not the only country in the region that has transitioned from an agrarian economy to a low-cost manufacturing hub and, eventually, to a world-leading technological center. Other countries, such as South Korea, Singapore, Japan, and even certain portions of mainland China, followed similar routes in the later decades of the 20th century and are today classified as advanced or developed economies by economists. There are many reasons why certain countries are prosperous while others are not, but one of the most important is a phenomenon known as brain drain. But what is brain drain, and why is it growing more common? Advanced economies. Although no clear definition exists, economists usually agree that an advanced economy is one with a GDP per capita of at least $20,000 per year. Furthermore, an advanced economy is distinguished by advanced, highly technical industries, a well-functioning and fairly regulated market system, and a high Human Development Index score. All of these elements, when considered collectively, are critical in evaluating a country's level of growth. For example, despite having a GDP per capita that is 50% higher than that of Spain, organizations such as the IMF would designate Spain as an advanced country, but not Brunei. In fact, the IMF is one of the few organizations that categorizes countries as advanced, emerging, or low income, and these classifications are not easily accessible to the general public. For most economists, an advanced economy is one of those things that can be easily identified. When we try to figure out why other countries are struggling to achieve this ill-defined status, it's crucial to remember that brain drain is a major influence. The process by which highly educated and productive individuals in an economy leave their native nation in search of greater chances abroad is referred to as brain drain. This decision may be driven by a desire for higher-paying work, or a greater standard of living, or a desire to avoid violence, corruption, or persecution. Searching for greener pastures. It is crucial to highlight, however, that the most productive members of the global economy are increasingly leaving poor economies and relocating to established economies. Despite the fact that it is a wide generalization, modern economies are often regarded as more attractive locations to live due to reduced rates of violence and higher-paying occupations. For example, an engineer in India may make an average income of 80,000 rupees, which is almost $10,000. While this is a great pay in India, if the engineer moved to the United States and became qualified there, they may possibly earn 10 times or more in a developed country like the United States. Nevertheless, advanced countries such as the United States are less congested and polluting than most places of India. As a result, if the opportunity arises, many individuals in India and other nations will be eager to seize it. Brain drain can have serious consequences for countries that lose highly qualified employees. These employees are frequently the most productive, add the most value, pay the most taxes, and have the most potential to drive innovation and grow the country's wealth. Furthermore, these countries are losing people at the point when they are transitioning from being an economic burden, such as children or students, to becoming workers. While children and students use more resources than they contribute to the economy, they can contribute back after they enter the labor field. Yet these countries are losing these professionals just as they are beginning to contribute significantly to the economy, which might exacerbate the negative impacts of brain drain. How do countries fight back against brain drain? In many circumstances, investing in education is a profitable investment for both the government and the children's families. In developing countries, children frequently take care of their parents when they are unable to work. Educated children can go on to provide significant value in their working life in both developing and advanced countries, more than justifying the investment spent in their education. Furthermore, Governments risk losing taxed income from parents when their offspring care for them. So, investing in education can benefit both individuals and the government in the long run. In different economies, the distinction between who pays and who benefits from having children varies. Individuals face the task of parenting children in poor countries where there is no government aid or support network. This is because the children usually work alongside their parents on farms or in businesses. Having children is also a cost-effective alternative in some countries, since they serve as a low-cost workforce and a sort of retirement plan. This, together with other cultural influences, explains why most low-income economies have a large number of children and young people. In high-income countries, on the other hand, the cost-benefit dynamic of raising children is inverted, as it is frequently prohibitively expensive and can demand extended breaks from employment. Furthermore, there are restrictions in most of these nations barring the employment of children for labor, even within family-run enterprises, and there is no expectation that offspring will offer financial support to their parents in old age, as alternative support systems already exist. As a result, practically every major and rising economy in the world is dealing with some type of demographic crisis, since their populations are not producing enough offspring to perpetuate the cycle of younger generations supporting the elderly. If a significant proportion of the population becomes unable to work, it will put a significant strain on the small number of younger people who are still able to work, either directly through the allocation of an increasing proportion of the workforce to elderly care, or indirectly through the imposition of higher taxes on younger workers to cover the costs of supporting an aging population. Speaking of which, young and old. In fact, this phenomenon is already taking place. In most nations, labor force participation is dropping as individuals leave their workforce earlier than economists predicted. Furthermore, these statistics do not account for the growing population of people over the projected working age who will require even more care. Low-income and emerging economies will be hit the worst, since a greater population of their employment need physical labor, which cannot be undertaken by persons who are old or infirm, as opposed to service-oriented roles and office work. High-income, sophisticated economies have an additional advantage, which is why they continue to thrive. In contrast, low-income and emerging economies are only seeing the negative effects of brain drain, which exacerbates their aging populations. Rich countries, on the other hand, gain from this trend by serving as a destination for qualified workers looking to relocate for a higher quality of life. Most sophisticated countries can choose how many talented people to admit to their economies by altering the number of skilled worker visas available. This explains why wealthy countries that are appealing places to live and work see an influx of skilled young professionals. Although the term brain drain is a horrifying metaphor, its ramifications are evident. Post-pandemic. After the COVID-19 pandemic and record-breaking unemployment rates, several nations are now welcoming a record number of skilled immigrants. These workers will not only help to solve the numerous issues caused by an aging population, but they may also provide economic stimulation. Those who relocate to another country will need to buy a substantial number of new things to establish themselves, such as new automobiles, furniture, smartphones, internet plans, and, of course, a new home and all of its effects. Whether they rent or buy, talented migrants bring money from their home nation into the host country, stimulating the economy. This is especially noticeable in the education sector. Student visa programs are one of the most popular ways for people to move from a low-income or a developing economy to an advanced economy. Graduates of developed country universities are more likely to be successful when applying for postgraduate work visas because the host country recognizes their degrees and is confident in the applicant's language skills and productivity level, as demonstrated by their ability to complete university exams and assignments. Because of the lack of government pricing regulations and high demand, acquiring a university degree in most schools and wealthy economies is significantly more expensive for international students. As a result, these students are a valuable source of income for these educational institutions. Australia is a wonderful example of how this trend might cause issues. Education is one of Australia's most valuable exports, bringing in more money from outside rather than petroleum or natural gas. Yet, because of the enormous profitability of this industry, there has been a tendency of ensuring that international students get their money's worth, even if it involves awarding them a university degree that they do not merit. This has resulted in countless controversies, with instructors pushed into passing overseas students who are underperforming in order to preserve the university's reputation and attract more international students in the future. A balancing act. The difficulty of balancing academic integrity with the allure of easy money from international students is not unique to Australia. Universities all throughout the world are dealing with comparable concerns. Universities may be tempted to emphasize the needs of overseas students over the needs of local students, with families and students eager to pay nearly anything for a footing in a sophisticated economy. As a result of international students' competition, domestic students may miss out on university placements. Leaving aside these minor issues, from a macroeconomic sense, this strategy is practically perfect for introducing skilled personnel into an economy. The host country receives direct financial support from overseas, which sustains its research institutes, as well as additional financing support from students, who must cover their daily needs, such as lodging, food, and entertainment. Student visa schemes in several nations allow for students to work part-time while studying, yet the majority of the cash for these fees will come from family or personal funds back home. In fact, international students who work part-time can benefit the host country because they often work in unskilled and low-paying positions that others are not interested in. They would begin their professions at the bottom after graduating from university, maximizing the time they can provide value and pay taxes to a government that did not assist them as children. This also ensures that advanced economies receive the most talented and extraordinary employees to drive innovation and ensure that their industries are more sophisticated and competitive than developing nations, which lose their most promising innovators. The challenge of emerging countries coping with inadequate growth is pervasive, and the economists have been attempting to find solutions. Nonetheless, established economies are more appealing places to live and work than emerging economies because of variables such as high earnings, lower levels of corruption, crime and pollution, and better access to healthcare, education, and public utilities. Another way to combat brain drain is for developing countries to invest extensively in companies that have the potential to propel them into advanced economies. South Korea, Japan, and Taiwan have achieved economic success through the implementation of government policies targeted at establishing world-leading technical sectors. This is in contrast to low-cost manufacturing on locations like China or India, as well as service-based industries in areas like the Philippines. Instead of the lowest bidders, these industries are dominated by the most inventive players. Japan continues to be a key producer of the world's most advanced electronic equipment, while South Korea has a slew of globally competitive enterprises. Taiwan's industries are also important to the world economy. Investment in these businesses frequently necessitates substantial financial incentives in order to draw professionals to less appealing regions and motivate them to stay long enough to create the industry. Investing in these businesses is also a risky venture, with no assurance of success. It is possible that it will consume a considerable amount of government revenue that could have been utilized to provide public services and solve concerns such as crime, corruption, and pollution. These are frequently the motivators for people to leave their own nation in search for a better life elsewhere. How about you? What do you think about the rising brain drain problem in poor countries? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, click the like button and subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to stay updated.